Oh my God. Wow. We're gonna skip the intro for tonight's show. How do you like that one?
Hello, we're here.
Yeah, we're here. That's it. We're live. Well, it's all good. We have technical errors all the time on podcasts. We understand these things. I don't know what happened, but I looks like we're live. You may have to redirect your viewers and listeners to this. Maybe share it on your Facebook. If you see see it pop up on my page, I'm gonna share it again and get it out there. So, guys, sorry for the late delay. We have a great guest tonight. I'm less a co-host because she had a really bad day. My wife apologizes. She wants to be here tonight, but unfortunately, she had some things that occurred this morning. So she wished she could be here, but I'm going solo today, but that's okay. I'm familiar with being solo on podcasts, so we can do the best we can without my favorite co-host, Josie. She wished she could be here. So without further delay, you guys see I have a guest, a lovely guest. We have Miss Katie Foreman. She's another psychic medium that we invited here on Uncharted Conversations. And Katie, first, I'd like to thank you for doing the show tonight. I really appreciate you coming on, despite the technical difficulties we had getting on.
That's part of the fun to see what the
Yeah.
spirits will allow.
Yeah. So we can only do what the spirits allow us to do, right? There we go. So I want to tell everybody a little bit about your background. Um, I want to read everybody your bio that you sent us. So here we go. Katie began her psychic journey at the age of 10, starting with deja vu and dreaming of premonition. This was followed up with babysitting in a famous haunted house for years, where spirits began to interact with her. It was there that she realized that the afterlife wasn't to be feared, but instead explored. Today, she runs two successful paranormal groups and does personal psychic readings in an attempt to connect loved ones or lost spirits, which is a really awesome gift. I don't call them skill sets. I don't call them. I mean, it's kind of like talent, but it depends how you use it. But I call it a gift. Like I call it that because you're born with it, and it's up to that person what they want to do with it, right?
Absolutely. And it could be gone at any given moment. So I'm grateful every time there's a helpful connection to somebody. It's like, uh, very grateful for it, very amazed by it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not me. I
Right.
mean, it's through me, but higher power, higher source, what this ability, what information this ability gives is always kind of like, okay, where are we going with this and why and stuff. And some people talk about having a near death experience and suddenly it's there something. for me, turning 10 years old, I don't know if it was those tween years or what,
Right.
but things got real different,
Right.
so.
Yeah, no, and like my wife and I, when we introduced this topic to our viewers and listeners, we said every psychic mediums, there's different things that are involved with abilities and gifts that these people have, and there's different elements of those abilities, and each person does things differently. They have different work ethics. They have different beliefs. Some believe in crossing over spirits. Some don't. It really depends on what they feel their calling really is, and it depends on the person's passion. Really, what's your passion, Katie, with your abilities? What do you are really into as far as honing in on your gifts?
I really like the way you worded all of that because that is true. Um, for me, it's helping the living that are either grieving. The basis that they're grieving. They're confused and they're frightened and they're lost without our loved ones. And there are spirits that come to me that are confused and frightened and lost. And so I've got it on both sides, trying to somehow make it a little smoother transition and stuff. I don't necessarily look to cross over spirits. I have done that. That's not my goal.
Right, not your forte. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. If they
yeah.
want it, if they need it, we can go there and stuff. But mostly it's someone living person is coming to me and saying, my father passed, I'm grieving. Can you tell me if he's okay or give me any kind of sign, or is this a sign and stuff? And then I have spirits come to me. Um, I was at my friend's house and I had only known her a couple of months, so I didn't know her background. And she was she is a living person. And this guy is on her staircase and he's saying, Richard, Richard, Richard.
Hmm.
And, now technically, when I say there's a guy, he's a spirit. And she's talking to me and I'm trying to ignore him. And he's not going to let that, he's not going to be ignored. And so finally I just say to her, who is Richard? And she just stops and she says, that's my deceased husband. He used to live here. He passed away about 2 years ago. Well, he took that opportunity to say, hey, I can, make a connection because this lady can hear me or see me or whatever.
Mhm.
So he just kind of wanted to say hi, and no major message or anything. But the spirits are keen to who can hear them and see them. Um, they pick up on or see our aura as a little bit shinier, I think. Um, there are people that have the ability to see and hear spirits, but they don't want to deal with it. And so the spirits will come and bother them, and the person will be like, why do they keep bothering me? I don't want any part of this and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you have to tell the spirits, if you don't want to be involved, you have to kind of get it through their head sometime.
Right, right. Yeah, you have to like kind of learn how to tune it out or kind of, set your boundaries as we've learned a lot. If you set your boundaries with your own energy, but, verbally set your boundaries with them. If you're a person with a strong gift, I can't imagine like how when you're in your own home and you have things coming in and out like crazy. Like I talk to people all the time. They're like, yeah, sometimes they're entering my bedroom and I'm trying to sleep and they're all at the bottom of my bed trying to communicate with me. And it's like, it's my bedtime. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I usually, on any given day, I walk around. I always talk about the antennas. Like with half an antenna up, just sort of
Yeah.
like, oh, I wonder if anything's here, but I'm not really looking for it until I go on like a paranormal investigation. And then I've got all my handheld tools and I put the antennas up to see, ooh, what's the history, who's lurking around this area, and what have you. Um, I have been jumped 3 times, and it's not fun.
Mm,
It's scary. And so I've been fortunate that a lot of the spirits are not following me home into my house.
right.
But when I'm out at investigations and I've got both antennas up and I'm like, ooh, where are the spirits?
Yeah.
And then suddenly you get an aggressive energy that misses being living or never was living or whatever their story is. And they want to use my energy, get in my head. I had a former living person pass away, miss living, jump in, want to use my eyes, my brain, and my mouth to
Wow.
start talking. And I felt like I'm standing behind somebody inside my head.
Mm,
So it was okay. How do we control this?
yeah. Right. Really.
Scary.
Yeah, it is sometimes because you don't know what intent they have, and
Right.
until you start really communicating with them, and unless you know how to really communicate with them, and you're learning those abilities. That's my next question with you, Katie. Is how did you learn to kind of harness and get a better control of your gift and abilities? Did you have any mentors? Go to school? I know sometimes psychic mediums do go to get certifications in certain things. And have you gone in that direction at all, or?
Well, actually, right now I am taking uh, a psychic medium course, I guess you could say, with the mentor. I've been working with her for feels like 10 years.
Mm,
And she has a very specific way of getting deeper into um, the messages and what's blocking and what a solution might be. Because it's one thing to just get a message, and she was telling me today, as a matter of fact, Dad says hi. That's wonderful, but is that helpful?
right, right,
And is there more than that? And what might be blocking the spirit or me or the sitter, and what the solution might be to that and stuff. And so other than dealing with her and researching, doing deep dives on my own, it's sort of been a process. And I mean, I've been doing this actively for 20 plus years. I've had it for years, but growing up, mom and dad tried to shut it down.
mm,
And so it wasn't until I got out on my own and in my own house, and when I was in my 20s and stuff, I had a little kid and it just wasn't my focus. But once I hit my 30s, when I had some time on my hand, it became my focus and
yeah,
everything.
wow,
And so to hone it, it was just a matter of trial and error and talking with someone. It took me years to understand if they were showing me a cluster of burning small candles, like a shrine,
mm,
then that might be a symbol for a birthday nearby, coming up or just happened or something.
right, right,
So
wow,
they talked with me abstractly. So it is, I have what they call claircognizant, where I just suddenly know information, and clairvoyant, where I see information, are my two strongest gifts.
nice,
And I have had to learn If they're showing me the cluster of candles, oh, we're talking about a celebration or a birthday that's coming up.
Mm.
And this is how they show me this. I wish the spirit would say, there is a birthday coming up,
Right. Yeah. Why can't they be more specific?
I have this great girl. She is now a Facebook friend of mine. We've been chatting. She lost her closest, dearest friend on December 31st, I believe.
Oh,
And yeah,
my
very,
condolences.
very unexpected. And of course, so she's been going through 6 months of struggling. And what does this mean? And and
Mm.
everything, and feeling that what could I have done, and stuff. So, fortunately, her friend has chosen to come through with messages on and off. So, the living girl, the other day, she said, I'm really depressed and my birthday's coming up. And my friend was always text me on my birthday, send me some sort of message. And, my birthday's 2 days from now, whatever. And immediately in my brain, I see the word flowers, flowers. And I said to her, okay, I believe she's talking about flowers, wildflowers. And the girl said, no, I don't know, I don't know what you're referring to. And then the word yellow, yellow keeps coming up in my head. And she said, nope, still don't know what you're talking about. Well, she went over to the parents' home that afternoon, and the parents had put in the living room a picture of their daughter that had passed, the friend, and she's sitting in the middle of a field of yellow flowers.
Oh my God! Wow.
I know. And
It's like,
I'm like,
whoa.
oh.
Yeah.
So she comes back to me, she takes a picture of it, and she says, look at this. And I knew it had to be what we thought. And I said, who is that? And she said, that's my friend. And I was like, wow, wow. There's your
Right.
text message and stuff. So basically, it was just her way of saying, you're going to, when you get to mom's house today, there's going to be this picture of me. It's going to have yellow flowers. You haven't seen it before. And I'm bringing it up just to let you know, yes, it's me. Yes, it's me, a connection and stuff.
Right.
So happy for her. And it blows her away and it blows me away because, I don't know how they do that. Everybody is selling paranormal equipment to interact with the spirits, right? We're going to get a REM pod and a
Right.
KT
Right.
and a recorder. We need equipment to interact with the psychic mediums and the spirits, because how on the heck are they getting this information over to us,
Yeah. And if I can intervene right there for a second, I'm glad you brought that up because it brings up another great question, which is those who have these gifts and abilities, and you're getting this information from spirit or a loved one or whoever, and you have equipment with you. What's so frustrating as a person with these abilities and whatnot is sometimes they don't do nothing as you're receiving the information, and you're sitting here going, looking at one thing, and you're like, how is this possible? Because, like, you just sit there and think to yourself, how is it possible? How are they communicating that if they're not using this equipment that's designed for them to use?
Right. I've got gobs of EVPs, and I'm they're voices that are out of place, that are not anyone else. They belong to somebody that we didn't see, and I can't explain it, but they're rare. You don't get EVPs constantly for 2 hours while you're out someplace. So you may get one or two or three or five if you're lucky. Same with any piece of equipment going off. It'll go off for a while. You try and get some sort of intelligent interaction. It may or may not happen. And then that moment is gone. And you chalk it up to, wow, another moment of confusion where possibly a spirit is causing some piece of equipment to light up and stuff. In doing a reading, trying to get a link that is continuing don't lose it, don't lose it, hold that link, hold that link.
Yeah.
And it's coming into here. It's all here for me, you
Yeah.
know. And then if it's direct, it's wonderful when a sitter will say, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly precisely what happened, what I did." Or when it's abstract, we have to figure out, okay, you know, I've got this man and he's showing me a ladder, and you know, we're trying to figure out what does this mean, you know,
Yeah.
representing and stuff.
Right.
I don't always have any kind of equipment going if I'm giving a reading. I will not get out an obelisk. I will not get out a recorder. I'm not looking for voices. I'm going strictly off of mind impressions and stuff. And the sitter helps guide me. Yes, this is making sense. No, I cannot relate to what you're saying.
Right.
You know, and you don't always get a hit. And, you know, you watch these TV shows. Oh my gosh, Teresa Caputo. And my gosh, she's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, they edit in the hits and they edit out the misses, you
Yeah.
know.
And the
And
hours and hours of stuff not happening.
exactly, you know, she could sit there 3 hours and get four wonderful things and they condense it down to, you know, 5 minutes of film or whatever. But um, I think what I'm learning now, I'm starting to teach in a Facebook group. I'm starting to teach an intro class because there are beginner mediumship and advanced mediumship where people will go in. They'll do a what's called a circle. There's a group of people in a Zoom session, and they try to interact with each other and compare impressions about loved ones or what have you. And a lot of them are feeling like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. You know, I know I can do this, but I don't know how I'm doing this. So I'm trying to have a class now where I'm talking about recognizing initial impressions and what we're going to do with that, and how it's okay to have misses, you know, to set your ego at the door and just, you know,
Yeah.
misses are okay. It just means I'm not getting the information correctly.
Right. Yeah.
Person sitting is going to come back to me tomorrow and say, "Oh, it all made sense, you know,
Yeah.
tomorrow," or something.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because that leads me to another really good question. Well, more of a statement. I don't like when people think psychic mediums or people with ability are perfect people, because we're all human beings and we're not perfect at all. But like you said, sometimes things come to you, sometimes things don't. And what's frustrating for people with gifts is, for me personally, we get symbols and things of objects or meanings to things that we have no clue what they can mean to us. But as we relate them to them, you know, whether is a hit for them or not. But like it's frustrating that people like think just because we have gifts that we automatically know, you know, who we're speaking with, how we're getting this information. I don't know if you know where I'm going with that, but it's like,
I do.
yeah,
uh,
it's kind of how do I, what's the word I'm looking for, misguided um thoughts about how psychic mediums portray themselves or how they do readings, and you know, the expectations, I should say that word better, the expectations that people have of mediums and people with gifts.
Right. I now have a wonderful little paragraph I send to people before I do a reading. So if we're going to do a reading on, you know, next week, Monday, and they're making an appointment with me today, I will send them this little blurb about how to be a good sitter, and it will talk to them about their expectations. You get people in there that say, "Prove to me." Now, immediately, you just ruined yourself, your city, you know, because you're putting up you're putting pressure on me and you're putting up obstacles. I'm not here to prove to you. I'm
Yeah.
here to relay what I'm picking up, and you choose if you want to take it or not. I don't need you to believe me.
Right.
I set that aside a long time ago. But they'll say to me, prove to me that's my grandmother. Tell me her exact birthday. Tell me her exact full maiden name. It's like, she's not telling me her exact full maiden name. I can't tell you that. I can't tell you her birthday unless she chooses to tell me the birthday.
Right.
Well, she doesn't want to talk about her birthday. She wants to talk about the beach that she used to go to or
Right.
something, and I don't command and demand that the spirits jump through hoops because it's insulting to them. And I can't, quote, prove anything. I will give information, and if it means something, I hope that it gives you peace of mind and, feeling better. And then if you make zero connection at all, I feel bad for the sitter. It's like, oh darn, they so much wanted to hear from Dad. Dad's refusing to talk here.
Yeah.
But Uncle Joe's got a lot to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and the spirits do drown each other out. I've got a gentleman that would like to speak, but his wife has taken over the conversation, and someone will say, "Oh, gee, that's what she did in life." Well, no surprise to
Well,
me.
there you go. And it happens in spirit.
Exactly. They do.
Yeah.
We take our personalities with us. And I think that's very comforting. That as soon as they start recognizing the personality, oh, that's Dad, that's my sister for sure,
Yeah.
uh, they feel better and stuff. And they always ask me, are they right here with you? Are they right here with me? And it's like, no, they're not standing next to me having a conversation talking with me. They are in some sort of great beyond, and somehow in the fourth dimension, I can't explain it because we don't live it. Their energy is flowing down to me. It's coming with you. And if you weren't here and someone else was here, then a different spirit energy would be coming through. So
Yeah.
I
I know.
can't explain it.
Right. No, I agree, 100%. And again, it's fun. People don't consider it's just as frustrating for us
It
to
is.
relay that information because, again, not to repeat what I said earlier, but we get things in bits and pieces of information randomly, and again, we don't know what those things mean unless they mean something to them. And like you said, we're just relaying this information to the person that we're reading, and it may mean something to them, it may not mean anything. We could be getting things from spirit that's not even any relation to that person.
And they do talk in bits and pieces. I have another really nice friend on Facebook. We met when I gave her a reading, and it came through so well. She wanted to be my friend. I usually don't make friends with people I give readings to. It's kind of like a business thing, and so I
Yeah,
keep
you try to separate. Yeah.
yeah. But I knew that I was going to need her someday. Her daddy passed away, and she was extremely close to him. My father is living, and he's elderly, and I don't know how many more years I have with him. And funny enough, this one girl, Jessica, she is psychic also, but she couldn't read her own father when he passed away. And I told her, I got a feeling that when my father passes away, you're going to be my person reading for me and stuff. But the other day, I've got like 4 people that their relative comes through a lot. Um, Sometimes it's a one and done reading. There's mom, and here's what she has to say, and we're done. But this one girl, Jessica, her father comes through a lot. I think he passed away, gosh, about 6, 9 months ago. But he came through the other day, and I don't think about him. And then I see her name, and as soon as I seen her name, he takes that opportunity to come through. And he's like, "Get a hold of her, get a hold of her. Tell her it's dirty. Tell her it's dusty." I said, "Okay, Jessica, Dad's complaining. Something's dirty." Like, okay, my house, whatever. And I'm like, it looks like a car. It looks like it's just abandoned, sitting in the yard. I think it's his car. And she says his car is sitting in her brother's yard.
Right.
Nobody's driving it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, he said, it's getting dirty. He doesn't like that. She go over and wash the car, whatever, it's like, it's not important what he had to say, but I think it makes her feel for the moment almost as if Dad's here again. And I really hope she's getting joy in her grief,
Right.
because I know I'm going to need it when my dad passes away. My dad has been my hero my whole life.
No,
Yeah. So, I got a couple more years with this guy and, and stuff. But knowing the amount of grief I've gone through when I lost like a grandparent, and it was intense. That's my motivator. And, I've got another woman, her father passed away 6 months ago. She's trying to get his house cleaned out so that she can move in there and stuff, and taking out what she doesn't need of his property. And he starts saying, "Get the TV tray out of the trash. Don't throw away my TV tray." And that was so specific. And, I really am so happy when it's direct like that, instead of I'm seeing a square, there's a square,
right.
which is what I'm usually getting. We're all trying to figure out what would the square
Right.
be.
It's rewarding, at least like for me personally, I find it rewarding and challenging that it challenges me more to try to tune in more or try to communicate, more specifically and get that information. So for me, I love when they're direct, because it's like, and then when it's direct and that information is correct from the person you're doing it with, it's a reward.
It is. It is. And it's not like, oh, good job, Katie.
No, not like that, right?
Because it's not, I feel like a straw. It's not me. It's like, there's info, here's the person, and it's going through right here. There's a straw. And I'm happy to be of service, and so, yeah. So when they're saying, don't throw away my TV tray, I'm thinking, should I even say this out loud to her? I've kind of learned, yes, go ahead, begin there. Definitely begin there. And sort of trust it. And if they say to me, no, we work with it, well, what do we think it might be representing here, But in this case, she laughed because she had hauled his TV tray out to the dumpster.
Oh boy.
He
That's
wanted
funny.
it back.
Right.
And so she got it back, and he wants that TV tray to stay, it's very important to him.
Yeah. Mine is too. So if my wife, if I ever go before her and she moves it, I'll be the same way.
You have to think, when I pass away, am I really going to be concerned about the TV tray? I guess so, It's like very important. Keep that TV tray. It's important,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's these 4 different people that I gave original readings to pretty much last year, that for some reason, I don't know why, their loved ones that I gave a reading about come through so clean and clear. I wish those 4 spirits could set examples to all the other spirits.
Yeah, right.
Be like me.
Yeah.
Say exactly what you mean,
Yeah.
and give the image clearly so she can see a TV tray, not a square,
Yeah.
And so, say the word yellow and then say the word flowers, and it's so clear. Why can't they all be like that?
Right, right.
Giving a reading, sometimes I had a lady who lost her daughter.
Oh,
I went to a restaurant. The living daughter was serving me, and there was someone that looked almost like a twin next to her in spirit, jumping around, and I'm looking at my waitress. I'm looking next to my waitress. Most people would see nothing. I see almost a twin. And I said, "Did you lose a sister? Because it looks like her." And she's just, wow. And she got off work right when I was leaving the restaurant. She ran out that door after me. And oh my gosh, can you tell me more? Can you tell me more? Because it was her sister. So she
wow.
asked me, can I come over and give her and her mother a reading? So I go over there, and the daughter, uh, sister, daughter, is telling me pearls, 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 pearls. And I'm like talking about a strand of pearls. Well, it turns out her birthday is April or June, which one is pearls.
Mm.
We had to go through a lot to figure out pearl. Oh, it's her birthday. Oh, because her mom finally said, um, oh, that's her birthstone.
There
Oh,
you go.
okay. Yeah. So in each reading I'm giving, I am learning lessons each and every time. Oh, are we on a birthstone?
Mm.
And or are they talking about a month? Maybe they're talking about I can't remember if it's April or June. I think it's April. One of them's diamonds and one of them's pearls. But maybe they're talking about. I get them sometimes saying the number 2. Is that
Mhm.
February? Is that the 2nd? Is it 2? Is it 2 kids? Is
Right.
2 part of the address? We have this little guessing game.
Mm.
And I'm not digging for information. I'm
Right.
trying to know which direction should I steer the energy, you
Yeah.
know? And most sitters are very gracious and very helpful and very understanding. 99.9% of them.
Yeah.
Once in a while, they're like, nope, 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 no 2, nope, 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 sorry, nope. And it's,
Yeah. But I also wonder if like maybe some of that, not that I'm trying to target these specific individuals, but maybe they're closed off to it, or they're not open to the idea of psychic ability. And does that have anything to do with the connection of energy to their loved ones, or
I'm going to go with yes, and I'll tell you
okay.
why. I'm kind of a private person about my own personal life away from Facebook.
Right.
My personal life is not out on Facebook.
So,
What is on Facebook is everybody be happy and love each other and little happy pictures and
yeah,
stuff.
I
But
call
that,
it fake book.
yeah, but it's not what's going on with my daughter and my friends and my father and my family. It's my personal information is away. So
Right.
when I go to a psychic at a psychic fair, this is not a medium, but a psychic who's going to give me a reading about living energy. Like, should you stay with that job or leave that job? Should you stay with that house or move? Those kind of living questions. I start putting blocks up and they can't read me. And I go to psychics and I'm blocking them and I'm paying, here's your $25. Give me your reading just for fun.
Yeah.
And they don't get it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to not block my information. I'm trying like, how do I unblock this stuff? And so I'm
Yeah.
kind of thinking you go over here, someone who's maybe a skeptic or a private person, and they
Right.
really want to hear from mom, but grandma's coming through. So that begins to prove to them, nah, I'm not so sure about this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's these blocks coming up, and one out of 10, maybe one out of 15 people, I will get close to zero. And I used to be concerned, but not so much anymore, because there's another psychic out there that their energy will connect with this person.
Right. Right.
Because it wasn't me doesn't mean, oh no, they're
Right.
never going to hear from mom, you
Right.
know.
And it doesn't mean that you're not accurate or don't have the gift. It's just,
Right. And
yeah.
I've learned that. Yeah.
Right.
I have a, it's like when you meet a person and you go into a room of people at somebody's home, and they're having a backyard barbecue, and here's a bunch of like strangers, and you're looking among them. You get a feeling for, oh, that looks like happy, nice people over there, and these people seem kind of off or weird, or I don't know if I want to talk to these people. You get a feel for the energy of these living people, and you make connections of like-minded energies. It's the same when I'm doing a reading. If if something, for some reason, I'm not connecting with the living person, and the spirits around them and stuff, it happens with the living, it's going to happen with the
Right.
deceased.
It's like, in a way, you know how, like, you get a bad vibe from somebody, like that,
Yeah.
like, you just like get that bad energy, and you're like, I don't want nothing to do with that person because it gives me the bad vibe. So it's like the same thing in the spirit world. It's like, because you have something either blocking it, or that energy is not working for them.
There's been a couple of readings, maybe two that I can think of, where I shut it down. I didn't want to give the reading anymore. One was the living person was involved in things that I would not be involved in. I could just feel some very negative energy around them, and I
Right.
didn't want to mesh with their energy. Another time I had a pretty graphic, when spirits do not often like to be asked about their passing. And so I will gently get in touch with, can we gently talk about your passing? And some will say, well, there were a lot of tubes and I didn't like them in my throat. And that nurse, she didn't know what she was doing. They'll share that kind of stuff with me. Um, but one spirit had a pretty graphic death, and being an empath, I have to be very cautious about getting too close to violence and stuff. And I could tell, I don't think I want to get close to this spirit,
Right.
because they're caught up in their passing, and they're very unhappy with their passing, and it's not a pretty picture.
Right.
So I had to pull my energy back from them and kind of block it, because I could tell I don't want to get near this energy.
Yeah. No doubt. I don't blame you. Because again, people, I think, are misguided about people with these abilities and gifts, about how much it drains you when you are communicating, or whether you're just investigating, or you're just doing a reading for somebody. Because, like, for me, I don't know about you, everybody's different. Depends on how educated you are with your abilities, but it can drain you massively, depending on how educated you are about it.
Yeah, they always say, like, before you do an intended reading, I'm going to give a reading on Tuesday at 10 a.m. with this lady, and before I sit down and talk with her, I'm going to get in touch with, uh, sort of open up a blank slate. What spirits are connected with this woman? And then sort of sit in the moment. There's one lady I've been working with. Erin Cube is her name. She's really good, very good. Um, she calls it sitting in the power. So kind of getting prepared to be receptive to spirit energy. It's a meditation. It's a like focused breathing. So you're going into a slower, lower vibration for mediumship, then a higher vibration. Um, to interact with spirit energy and stuff. So I kind of get myself into a place, getting prepared. Forgot where we started with this. I was like, okay, yeah, sitting in the power. Um, oh,
I do that all the time during the show. I'll have a question, and then I'm like, okay, brain fart.
yeah. Um,
It happens.
yeah. So anyway, getting prepared and everything for the spirits to come through. So when I know I'm going to have a reading, I kind of try to clean and clear the slate out and see what energy are going to come through. And then when I meet with them, I have a list of things I've written down that have come through slightly before meeting with the sitter. And then when I'm talking with them, there may be a whole additional other spirits coming through or more information on the one or two that came through before. When I am not prepared to do a reading and I'm just going along and going into an antique store, which is a great place for spirits, looking at all the cool antiques, and suddenly out of the blue, a little old lady says, I made that lace doily with my own hands and I want somebody to have it in their house and appreciate it. It's only $2. Buy it, buy it, buy it. And
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, it is
yeah,
pretty, okay, fine.
right. Yeah, that's why I started a museum, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I
Well, Zach Bagans has this haunted museum.
yep.
Is it in Las Vegas?
Yeah, it's in Las Vegas.
I
Yeah.
won't go in there.
Oh,
I
I
never
was told by friends that when you go in there, if you're like, they don't recommend if you have abilities, don't go in there, especially if you don't know how to handle it, because the energy in there is off the charts.
Yeah. Well, now John Zappis has a museum.
Yep.
He's the one that used to be on Haunted Collector,
Yep.
and he was around long before
Oh,
TV
sure.
brought him out. But
Yeah. Before Zach was in diapers.
yeah, so he's got a haunted museum, and he knows how to contain these items. They're in like glass jars with salt around it.
Binded, right.
I'm not sure Zach knows how to contain everything. He may have learned along the way, but John has made a study of how to contain it where I don't know if Zach has or has not. I would be okay walking into John Zappis's museum.
Right.
Oh, I have a lot more respect for him.
Yeah. I think he has a little bit more respect for his items versus the other guy.
But if I were to walk into Zach's museum, there may be a thing or two in there that he intended to protect his visitors from, but I don't know what's attached to these items. So yeah, going into an antique store, going into a place like that, those are places that can leap out and like being jumped. You can feel attacked, you can get psychically attacked.
Sure.
Yeah. So as a medium, I don't think I will be going into Zach's museum. I'll be like, I'm out here. Have fun.
I would probably push myself just to try to see, like, what kind of energy would hit me. But if I knew it was going to be bad, I wouldn't do it. Like, if I got the message, like, don't do it, I would listen to my message and say, no, it's not a good idea.
Well, that's like these other places that are well known. Queen Mary ship, being in California, that was an hour away. You could get to the Queen Mary in an hour. And so we went there all the time. It's closed right now. It's post-COVID, and then now it's slowly leaning into, are we going to reopen?
Yeah.
The Whaley House down in San Diego, which I think there's another house actually a couple blocks away that's much better than the Whaley House. There's these well-known places. A lot of the California people are going to know about a place called the Glen Tavern in Southern California. And then in New York, there's going to be places. And then there's the ones we all hear about, the Lizzie Borden house, the Basilica house. I'm not sure I could go in there. I'm not sure I can go in Lizzie Borden's house because of the energy. I don't want to interact, especially the Basilica house. I don't want to interact with that violence. Being an empath, I'm bound to connect with those children, and I don't want to be there the moment if anyone's reliving those moments. I don't want to experience that.
Yeah.
But you get a crew of paranormal investigators in a location at any given moment, and they do something a little different, like let's say hold a seance, hold an amateur seance and stuff. They can change the spirits that are coming through at locations. And so each time I'm going to famous places where 100 other investigators and psychics have been, you're always cautious about, is this the same haunted place that's got those happy spirits? Like the Queen Mary is a very safe place to investigate. There's tons of spirits there, but they're
Right.
all relatively nice. And they'll stay that way until anyone makes a mistake and does something they shouldn't be doing, you know. So that's something I have to have my guard up against.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to protect yourself. I agree, 100%. I just want to take a minute before we get later in the show. Even though we had technical errors in the beginning of the show, sorry about that, guys. I usually have a nice intro where people can follow our Facebook page. They can follow our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our Facebook page. We're live on our Haas Paranormal Facebook page. Watch us there. I share it on my personal page as well as our YouTube channel. We have a website, housparanormal.com. We do have some listeners in the chat, actually, considering what happened earlier, which I'm very grateful for our supporters tonight. We have Candy Slater, Riverside, Iowa Paranormal is visiting tonight's show, which is thank you for listening tonight, guys. We have Derek and Candy Slater. We have Pedro was in the chat earlier. I just want to, a quick shout out to the people in the chat. We have Ty the Goat. I don't know if I pronounced his last name correctly, but anyway, he says he's a first time viewer. Welcome to Uncharted Conversations. But we're here with Katie Foreman. She's a psychic medium from California. She works with a couple of paranormal teams in her area. We've known each other for a little bit. We've done past shows with her as a guest on our show, and we're continuing to highlight psychic mediums and people with abilities. There's all different types of people with different things that they work with in the field, and each person brings something different to the table. My next question, actually, before I overlook Candy's question, I'm gonna, if you don't mind, taking a question from Candy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. She asks, what was the most rewarding reading you have ever given, or has there ever been a reading you gave but you didn't like giving because of the message?
Yeah, in fact, I talked with a mentor about this, the class I'm taking. There was a reading one time where the brother was deceased, and it was not happy information, and it was painful. And so you're trying to figure out, do I owe this person this painful information? Can I reword it and make it bright and shiny? It's hard to make someone's passing, especially if the passing was unfair, unexpected. Those are the hard ones. When grandpa turns 89 years old, people are like, gee, he made it to a really old age and he was in fairly good health and he didn't suffer and he went to sleep. And that's we should all be so lucky. But when someone is in a car wreck or some kind of violence or gets a disease early in life that takes them, there's an unfairness to it, and it's a tougher. And so there was a brother that had passed away in a car accident that was coming through. Well, that's wonderful news, but he kept focusing on his passing and how he was upset. and how the other driver should be. You know, he was in a place that a lot of spirits are not. Most of the spirits I deal with let go of earthly emotions. You know, don't have resentment, don't have anger, let's all forgive, you know, and I'm not holding on to this anymore. And I just know great love. And then this is a great message. But this guy was like, that was unfair and it was painful and I was in agony, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and the other driver got away. And, you know, I'm thinking, do I even share this information? And so I chose to not share the full story of his frustration and anger because there's nothing she can do. And he has to work on that. These are my personal belief, these are his post living lessons that he will have to work through um, to move on to a more peaceful place because that's where we all want to get to, is a very peaceful place. And so that was difficult. As for a favorite reading, there, I can't think of one offhand. They're all favorites. I really adore the spirits that come through with love and jokes and their personality. And when I'm sharing a personality and I'm saying, this guy, oh man, he's making me laugh, and I'm able to share, you know, the actual personality. And the sitting living person's face is lighting up, and you can tell, I can tell as an empath what they're feeling. They're so happy and grateful to hear from this person. Again, I say someday I'm going to want to hear from my father. My grandmother should have been my mother. I adored her. I loved her. And she passed away 10 years ago. She has not come through for anyone, not
Mm-hmm.
for me, not for any psychic friend. And she won't be coming through. I just know who she was. I know what she said when she was living. She said she wanted to pass away and see the face of Jesus. That was what she wanted to do. When she was 91 years old, she went to sleep and didn't wake up. Perfect way to go. And that was that. And she has no intention of coming and saying, I'm fine, and how are you? And I love you. And as far as she's concerned, Earth life is done and it was wonderful. And now she's in her next journey, which for her means heaven front and center, you know. And I miss her desperately, but I have come to learn Grandma is not coming through. My
Oh,
father, doggone it, he better come through. Just to say, I never believed in this stuff, you know.
yeah.
I did have a gentleman come through one time, somebody's grandfather, and he spent the entire time reminding his granddaughter that this stuff isn't real. Now he's in spirit. This stuff isn't real. Remember when I was alive, I said, I don't believe in this stuff. This stuff isn't real. And I thought, this is irony because you're telling me this and you're deceased that this isn't real, but you're
Yeah.
telling me this stuff, you know? So,
Right, right. Well, even Houdini once said that, if he could prove the afterlife, that he would try to, come through the other side. But I don't think not one person yet has, captured Houdini on EVP or, but it's again, the expectations of mediums and psychics and stuff. It's tough because you go into it with a high expectation. But I think maybe people should, like, as excited as readers get, maybe bring your expectations lower. I mean, I'm not sure what kind of advice to give them, but I don't know. It's like, what's your thoughts on that?
in the class that I'm teaching, the intro class, it's in a Facebook group. The the people going into it have had something happen that makes them think, wait a minute, am I actually getting messages, symbols, something, dreams, something for me, there was a time, a period where dreams meant something,
Right.
and then I was actually visually seeing things. I still visually once in a while see something that's like, whoa, whoa. Um, most of the mediumship is right here.
Yeah.
I had another friend that say it's all right in here. So each person is going to learn where their gift is. Is it when I'm sitting quietly and I tune in? Is it when I'm not paying attention? Is it for me audio? Am I hearing voices? Am I hearing voices? I'm here in my house alone.
Yeah.
Just suddenly knowing. Am I suddenly knowing information? Why would I know that? Am I seeing something? And then it goes so far as some people have smells and tastes. I smell cigars. I smell cigars, and stuff like that. So in the class that I'm teaching, we work with where is your information coming from and embrace that for a good starting place. So I know that I am constantly hearing things in my ears. I'm hearing ringing. I'm hearing chimes. You know, and so start there and embrace that and start taking notes. I myself hate people say journal this and journal that. I hate
Yeah.
writing. I would rather type. It's faster for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And writing is long and tedious. But the more I make notes, the more I start to see patterns and stuff. And it's like,
It's kind of cool you brought that up because just recently at our last investigation we did last weekend, I just started to take notes when I get information. And I never used to do that before, but I just said to myself, they don't necessarily want to use the equipment to communicate with us. Maybe they want to communicate one on one. Perhaps the equipment is intimidating to them. So let me use my pen and paper and my brain and just sit there and tune in on what information they give to me personally. And I sat there at the desk and I grabbed my notebook and I just started writing. I wrote down a page and a half of information.
wow, that's awesome.
And I'm sitting there and I read it off to the person in the room that's in charge of the location. And there was like at least half of it that was accurate.
That's great.
And I'm sitting there like, I never started writing notes before, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to start doing this more often.
Yeah. And, some people will talk about automatic writing, and that's sort of like, okay, I'm not even going to think at all. I'm just going to let my hand just wander.
Right.
I won't do that since I've been jumped 3 times. I don't want anyone to come into me and start writing through me. I don't want anyone to channel inside of me. Outside of me is fine. We can touch energies right here.
Mm-hmm.
But writing, yes, when I begin to write and I'm consciously writing, it's me writing, but I'm unconsciously or subconsciously letting my mind just sort of flow.
Right.
And I'm like, palm trees. I wonder what palm trees might mean. I'll just
Right.
write that down.
Yeah.
You'll find that yes, there are connections to, or you learn palm trees means. I have learned, I've had palm trees 25 times in the last 3 years, and for some reason, it always means there's a beach nearby, or it means whatever, Hawaii, you know. So yeah, that's another great way is to get in tune with your thoughts, your feelings. The body can start to show you. So I will ask a spirit, let's talk about passing. And this is a confirmation for the sitter, okay. And they'll be like, well, my throat was scratchy. Okay. I'll make a little note of that,
Yeah.
and my leg was swollen. My ankles, they were bothering me. And then I had that blasted cane. I didn't like that. So I was wobbly when I walked. Oh, okay, okay. So then after I get this list of symptoms, it's like I'm at a doctor's office, I'm taking down symptoms. And then I'll tell the sitter, okay, Their legs were swollen. Did they have, me knowing a little bit about medicine, did they have gout? Did they have diabetes? I don't know a lot about it. I'm learning. Um, and they'll say, why, yes, they did have diabetes. And yes, their ankles did get swollen, especially later in life. Oh, okay. They're talking about that. And
There you go. Yeah.
and then they've given me a scratchy throat. Was there like a cancer
Mm.
or tubes or something? So I pay attention for me, body feelings, body shifts. It's a knowledge, and I start to get a scratchy throat. I start to get a jaw issue,
Yeah.
slightly. If I won't let the spirits come in and completely take over and all the pain,
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep a little bit of buffer up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
You can't be like the lady in Ghost. What was her name?
oh, Whoopi Goldberg?
Yeah, and remember when she had the people jumping in and out of her
Oh,
body,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah, you have to set boundaries. And,
Yeah.
teaching someone, how do you set boundaries? Well, for me, I try and shut down those antennas that are open, out here. I,
Yeah.
I try and set my intention to no, 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 not receiving energy. You can tell a spirit currently not open. You need to come back when the sun is up. You're not allowed to bother me at midnight. You're not allowed to wake me up. They respond pretty well to instructions. Um, most of them. It's got that stubborn one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Uh,
people don't realize that.
yeah.
That you can tell the spirit, no, 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 I'm closed. You can come tomorrow between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. my time, and it works often.
Yeah. Absolutely. We have more people in the chat. Just saying hello to them real quick. Before we get to the next question, I wanted to bring up with you. Uh, you work with a couple paranormal teams. I know psychic mediums like working differently with teams. How do you like to work with a team? For us, when we work with someone outside of our own abilities, if we bring in somebody, a lot of times they don't like to know anything and they like to challenge themselves and whatnot, and they verify or confirm with those information from the location later on, but they don't want to know a whole lot. And I'm guilty. Like in the beginning, I used to like, oh, there's this, that. They'd be like, shh, we don't want to know nothing.
So yeah, they call that a cold reading. And yeah, cold readings are better. When I'm going to a paranormal location, we used to go in 15 years ago and say, tell us everything. Kind of like we don't want to waste our time. Where do we start? Tell us everything. And then we go there and we do that. And it's setting you up for a bias. And they call it the Bob theory now. You go to a location and you say, Bob died right here in this room. Bob died right over there. Bob was 50 years old. And we get the most activity right where Bob died. Well, most of the paranormal people are going to run right over there all night and, with their little gear and, Bob, can you hear us? Well, what if I'm making a story up and there's nobody that ever lived here named Bob at all? You've been
Right.
biased, and all night long you're going to be doing it this way.
Mm-hmm.
So I always have, in my teams, there are 3 psychics in the California team, myself being one of them, and all 3 go in blind, cold reading, no information whatsoever. Go do your own thing, and they will individually walk from room to room, take notes, make recordings. They'll have a recorder just in case they get a voice answering,
Sure.
taking notes on what they feel and impressions and what have you. And then maybe hour and a half later, they might ask the owner of the location, Where have you been getting information? Impressions, sightings, sounds,
Mm-hmm.
things are being thrown, whatever the issue is, what rooms. And they'll go back and redo those areas again
Mm.
the second time. So initially, yeah. And when I do readings with someone,
Mm.
oh my gosh, let me give advice to sitters. Do not sit down with the medium and say, I want to hear from my mom. She passed away last year. She has red hair. She's kind of heavy set. She had cancer, and
Yeah,
we all had yellow flowers at her funeral, and now can you get her? Okay, well
yeah,
you giving me all this information.
yeah.
So if
Like I
I
said earlier, you want
yeah,
to.
so if I say, hey, I've got this lady, she's a little heavy set, red hair. Oh, that's her. And she's talking about yellow flowers. Yeah, we had those. Well, I have no proof. I'm
Right.
just repeating back to you.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting down with a psychic or a medium and you want information, don't give them anything.
Right.
Um, and that's what I tell them. Don't give me anything, because if you want to hear from mom, and I say, well, I've got a female coming through and she's this and that, and you're going, that's not mom. That's not mom. Open up your brain a little and say, well, who is that? It could be your third grade friend, for all you know, coming through and saying, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you for the Barbies, or whatever they're coming through to say and stuff. So, yeah, cold readings, I feel, are more scientific, in the sense of controlled. Uh,
Control. Yep.
it's controlled because it's wide open. When you narrow it down, you've taken away the ability. When you give all the information to the medium, you've taken away the ability to know if this is an authentic reading.
Hmm.
You biased their brain.
Right. Right.
You know?
Have you ever gone into an investigation with a team or another team where have you found difficulty separating loved ones trying to come through the people you're working with versus the location that you're trying to do the reading for? So, like, do you have trouble separating the two sometimes?
Only once that I can think of. And that's something interesting that you bring up, because why would I be at the Queen Mary and Christina's grandfather chooses at that moment to come through and say, I
Right.
always loved big ships. Um, it's an opportunity, but that's very interesting. One time we investigated a mortuary where there were two recently deceased loved ones there going to be prepared for upcoming funerals in a day or two. And we didn't see them. They're, locked away in a refrigerator. I hate to say that, but that's where they are.
Right.
But the guy that worked there, his father came through. I'm so sorry, Charlie. I'm so sorry. I was a horrible dad. And he passed away 3-4 years ago. The woman in the refrigerator that had recently passed away, she came through. That was kind of interesting. And also we're getting recordings of voices that were like, this is weird. This is in our Western world, there's this fine line between ethics and going to a mortuary, because how would you like to find out that your mortuary where your grandma is let a
Right.
bunch of paranormal people in last night? I mean, it's just kind of like we're trying to be so graceful doing this and not cross any lines. And the guy's father's coming through, and at first we don't recognize it. We're just like, I got a guy coming through and he's talking about this and he's talking about that. Well, the guy that's got the keys to the place, he's sitting over there and he's looking at me really weird, like, what? He doesn't expect his father to come through.
Yeah.
So I ended up giving him a full on reading, and he was in tears. He needed this. Dad
Aw.
had been just withheld love and been abusive, verbally. And he was apologizing to him and make sure the brother knows. And it was something that he needed to hear, but it was very odd placed, you know.
Mm.
Um, it is amazing to me now that I think of it that all these other times, these hundreds and hundreds of investigations, why so and so's relative isn't coming through. It's like the focus is here and not
Yeah.
here, but they
Right.
should be able to come through if they wanted to. They just are saying,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So that is an interesting concept.
Yeah, it is. So, because like I find like I've only done it like maybe once or twice where um, I'd be investigating and I'm trying to get information for the people that were there working for, but then the people that are working there again, I've had spirit of loved ones come through and they're trying to get information because they see it as an opportunity. So, I let them because I was like, all right, maybe they have a message. Because I don't see me personally, I'm not one that does readings. Like, I don't charge people and stuff. I don't do it for that reason for myself personally. I do it because I like to challenge my gift and abilities. So when I
Right,
do it, yeah, I do it to kind of help people also. Like, if they
right,
need, if they need to grieve with that loved one that passed, or if they've been looking to communicate with somebody and I'm getting somebody and they come through strong, I'll just come out with it and be like, are you okay if and I'll ask them first, are you okay if I give you this information? Because I feel awkward just kind of like coming out with it like on a location because like I don't know them that well and we're not friendly like we're best friends. So I don't want to like overstep those boundaries with the location. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, and that's something that we're learning that I'm teaching in the intro class is it is actually it can be an intrusion into someone's private information. I have gotten spirits shouting at me before. The person living standing in front of me doesn't want to hear it. They either A, don't believe in it, or B, don't want it,
Right.
don't want that. They don't want mom to be a spirit coming through because it's either a religious background, a fear. If mom is here talking to you, that means mom's not at peace and in my mind, or I don't believe in that, or I don't believe in it, or I don't want it. So yeah, you do have to check in and say, I think I have a spirit coming through for you. Do you, you
Are
know,
you all right with it? Right.
all right
Yeah.
with that? Yeah, yeah. You want to hear about this? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, most of them were like, oh, really? Like, gee, who would this be? I wasn't expecting that. Um,
Right.
occasionally, though, I've had them shut it down. No, 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 I don't want to hear this and stuff. Um, now that you say it in the way that you said it, I think I have had a few more loved ones come through because in the way that you just worded that, I can remember occasionally being focused over this direction. Okay, I'm at this place. What kind of spirits are at this place? And suddenly a displaced spirit comes through, and it's kind of like, why would somebody's mother, grandmother, whatever, be here right now? They don't live in this house. They haven't been to this house, but they're just taking the opportunity. That's the key word. They are always looking to find that opportunity to come through
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
a lot of times they want a message. They don't always have a specific message. They'll say, do they have a message for me? Nothing more than they watch over you, they love you immensely, and if they have any message at all, is that we give too much energy to unimportant things while we're living here on earth. So
Yeah.
much of this is not that important, and we cling to it, and that's their message
Yeah.
is, that there's just um, that they're at peace, they're full of love, and that they hope that while we're living, we can be peaceful and full of love. And that's basically the message.
Yeah. Me, like, I don't know about you, but I like to tell my viewers and listeners and anybody in general to the public that how you carry yourself now, think of it as that way, where if you want to, when you cross over, to the other side, wherever it is that we go, wherever we're designed to go, that's how you're going to be wherever you go. So if you want to be able to come back and share those messages in a positive light, like, just remember how you are now, because I think it's so important, who we are now and how we carry ourselves in down that path.
Yes, I always say you take your personality with you, and
Yeah.
it's very true. Um, it is my background, my belief, my upbringing, and my experience that when we pass away, we finish life lessons or we're done with life lessons and we move on to our next journey. Um, Hopefully, for most of us, that is a place like heaven, is heaven, similar to heaven. That's my experience, my belief. That's what the spirits tend to hint towards. With me, I have spirits telling me, I cannot tell you the whole story, you know. Okay. Uh, so they will not clarify. They will not say, well, here's exactly what it ends up being. Um, Ron, that we had on your other show recently, he's waiting for a specific message, I think from his grandfather, and I think it's his grandfather. His grandfather came through to me with a couple of things to say, which he did validate, but he has asked for like a specific word or
Mhm.
phrase or something, like a real proof and something. And I'm not getting that. And I kind of wonder, if they're able to communicate so much with us, why don't they give us those specific phrases that we say, okay, when you pass away, I want 3 hummingbirds and 2 red butterflies and 4 blue feathers all on the same day.
Yeah.
And they're not able to control and command these things the way we. So that makes me wonder, like, they can get through information, but they cannot control coins and feathers, and yet people will talk about coins and feathers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough because, and the other thing is too, how come they come through other people with gifts and abilities, but not those people that aren't handling their own gifts and abilities that they have, and if they do have them, like, how come they can't directly communicate with them, and if they have a message for them? So it's like, I understand both sides.
Right. And a lot of people will say, well, everyone's psychic. Everyone's got some level of psychic. I don't know if I buy into that. Maybe that's true, but I don't think I would word it that way. I think everyone can check in and see if there is an intuition, impressions. I don't think I would say everyone is psychic. I would say everyone has the ability to learn to recognize impressions and intuitions. What that ends up meaning for them is their own path and their own journey. Some people don't care,
Right.
whatever. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's either your thing or it's not your thing.
yeah, it is. Yeah, you either you do that or you go and learn how to play tennis. It's
Right.
whatever your interest is. So
I like to call it either, like, it's either a calling or it's a gift. You were given the gift to use it, and if you recognize it, then it's up to you what you want to do with it.
yeah, it's definitely a calling for me. They beat in my head. If I don't listen to it, like I'm telling the original story, the guy on the staircase, Richard, 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 he's shouting at me and he's not going to stop shouting at me
Yeah.
until I say, okay, fine. Okay, I'm bringing you up. Let me ask her who Richard is. Uh,
Yeah.
so, other people in my paranormal group is my right hand. person is Diane, and she says, she's as psychic as a rock, she says, but she's had 2 or 3 occasions where some well-known psychics have looked at her and have said, what drew you over to this corner of this place? I know about this corner. Nobody else here has come over to this corner. Why are you over in this corner? Oh, I was drawn over here, Another time, synchronicities and stuff. So she's beginning to wonder, I'm not psychic. Why am I having this, once every 2 years psychic moment and then nothing in between and stuff? It's probably because she's not actively pursuing it.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So if she did actively pursue it, I wonder how much more she might say,
build it, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
If I hadn't labeled it that way, or I hadn't recognized it and stuff. So yeah, so a lot of people come and they say, am I psychic? Am I a medium? I don't know. Work with it a while. And it goes back to, are you hearing? Are you seeing? Are you knowing? Are you smelling?
Right.
Are you feeling? And work with that for a while. And
it's not like a switch where you can just turn it on, and turn on the switch. It's something that you got to focus in on and figure it out for yourself. That, like, if you are having those moments, then you should maybe focus on learning more about it. It really, again, it depends on the person and how much passion they have for it. And if they feel it's a calling, then go with the calling.
Yeah, and again, it's not about getting your own TV show or fame.
No, right.
I have a feeling the minute I lean in that direction, my gifts will say, "Yep," and be gone. It's like, for me, and I feel that it needs to be for everyone, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Helping other people, helping spirits, helping the living and the grieving, and whatever that help is, you will recognize it as you're giving the reading. They need to be reassured. They need to hear from. They need to know whatever it is. They will take it and they will run with it and they will handle it as they need to. So I'm just glad that the young girl feeling depressed. It's her first birthday since her friend passed away, and she's like, oh, I won't get a text message, and suddenly yellow flowers. I'm just glad for her. Can you imagine being her?
Right.
And your very best friend who's always been there for you. I mean, this girl is 20 years old. She's young, and this is a huge impact on a 20-year-old.
Sure.
Huge, and I have felt for her, and to be told, guess what, yellow flowers, and then to go over and see this brand new picture. Her mom says, oh, I just found this picture.
Wow.
And so a gift, not from me, from her friend. What a gift.
Yeah.
I'm just the wrapping paper.
That's one way of putting it.
Yeah.
We're getting down to the bottom of the show. We started a little bit late because of technical issues in the beginning of the show. I'm not even going to play the video at the end because I don't want it to freeze up on me again. But we finally worked through the entire show. I can't believe we did an hour and a half already. It goes quick. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it goes quick. But guys, thanks for tuning in tonight's show. I hope you guys enjoyed our guest. Katie, where can people find you? Would you like to give any special shout outs to anybody where they could look you up? Here's a good opportunity for you to plug your whatever.
My mediumship is on Facebook and it's called Sky Songs. So look up Sky Songs Mediumship. You'll find me. And then the 2 paranormal groups, the one in California is Cal Para, and the one in Arizona is Parazona. So,
Right.
aren't those cute names?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and they're on Facebook, and though the paranormal groups have their own web page and stuff. Um, but yeah, if you have any questions, you can always go and find the class I'm giving. The next one's going to be in July, and I'll put little things up on Facebook about it. And it's just a beginner intro level for people that are extremely uncomfortable, but maybe want to learn a little bit more, and maybe they're going to get better at it.
Sure, sure. What else was I gonna say? See, that's what I said. I had a brain fart. See, it happens. All right, like I said, guys, you can watch this show again anytime you like. Go on Haas Paranormal Facebook page. You can check us out there. Go to our YouTube channel. I'm actually going to edit the show so that it looks like nothing happened earlier. So this way it'll be up there like as if it's a real episode. I'll have the video and everything. So I'll share that with you, Katie, as soon as I edit everything. I'll give it out to you.
Okay.
And the viewers and listeners tonight, thanks for chiming in and listening to the show and your support. Love everybody. Love and light. Any last words for our viewers and listeners, Katie?
Nope.
No?
Grandma loves you.
There you go. Well, my advice is don't do anything that I wouldn't do, which is not a whole lot. No, just learn. Like learn. Educate yourself. If you don't know anything about something, read. Like just go to a library. Pick up a book. Google is a powerful thing. YouTube is a powerful thing. I love Google. Like you can just pretty much find anything. Some people hate it, some people love it. I love it because you can just research anything. But learn. That's all I can suggest to people. If you don't know enough about something, just learn. So I think that's the best advice for people. So, all right, guys, I'm going to end our broadcast here because, like I said, I'm afraid of everything going. Guys, I want to wish everybody a great night and be well and take care of yourselves. Have a great night from Uncharted Conversations. We'll see you guys next week.